There's this whole idea that the UK isn't racist because we're tolerant. I think I'm not here to be tolerated. I'm not a burden that needs to be put up with. I'm the same as you. I don't want to have to explain to my kids when I'm older that you're going to be treated differently because you're black. We send out books to people who can't afford them that are based on the topics surrounding Black Lives Matter. We send them out for free. How it works is we get books. You can send us books through our donation link on our website, and they will go in a pile, and whether people buy them or whether people request them, we package them up, send them out with a little card in it, and with that card you can send the book back to us when you're finished if you want to. That way someone else can read it, someone else can share it, pass it on. If there are any books that we have that you want and can afford to buy yourself, you can buy it there, and then that money goes back into us buying books that we can send out to people for free. If you're in a position where you can't afford a book, you can request a book from us through our website or our Instagram, and as soon as it's in, we'll package it up and send it out to you for free. Now we also sell books on our online store so that we can fund buying books. With the death of George Floyd and the protests and the death of Breonna Taylor, there were so many infographics on Instagram posting a black square and a hashtag. My problem was everyone's already aware there needs to be actual change happening now. So my thought was the next thing everyone can start doing is educating themselves, but quite a few people were coming to me saying they couldn't find resources, they couldn't afford resources. So I thought, let me just send out maybe 3 or 4 books to some people. When I suggested doing that, people were responding to me asking if they could send me money to help me fund that. And within 3 or 4 hours, I had £800 of donations that people had sent to me purely for me putting my PayPal link in my story on Instagram. From there, people kept requesting books, loads more donations and requests were coming in. So I thought, I want to keep this going for as long as possible, and I want to make it bigger than sending books to individuals. I want to send it to schools and to prisons and to educational institutions, youth clubs, things like that. So to do that, I thought I can start applying for grants. I can make it bigger than just me in my room sending books out. And yeah, I applied to become a community interest company because I really thought I would get maybe like maximum £100 and send out 10 books, and then that was it. I'd be done in like 2 days. So for it to be 3 months down the line and it's still going and we're still getting donations and things like that is great. One of the biggest ethos for the whole company is the protection of Black lives. So I think seeing people say like, I really didn't know this is what people like you went through or go through every day, and now I do, and I can have that conversation with my mum, with my dad, with my cousins who don't think the same way. I think that's the biggest benefit of the whole thing, is like, wow. Yeah, it just feels like I'm actually making some sort of change, which is really cool. This is the biggest movement probably since the civil rights movement in terms of the protection of Black lives, because every time it happens, and I shouldn't even be able to say every time it happens, but every time it does, there's, oh, Black Lives Matter for like 2 weeks, there are protests and everyone goes back to normal. So I think this was kind of like Generation Z is done with it and we need to see change, otherwise we're not going to stop. Non-Black people need to now be the ones that are putting in the work and educating themselves so they can help us, because we can't do it by ourselves. The project sells a lot of baby books, and a lot of people are interested in buying things for their teenagers, their young children, to help get this into their heads while they're young, while they're really small. Especially me growing up, I didn't have any books with Black kids in them. So that makes me more positive for the future. But in terms of the near future, like now, I'm still very skeptical because there are still things that are happening that are absolutely ridiculous. I think I've always lived with like a consistent level of racism being inflicted on me in my life, and whether it's me or whether it's my friends, my family, my parents, there's never been a time where I've thought, okay, like I feel equal to everyone around me. I was raised in heavily white areas. My teachers didn't look like me, my people on TV didn't look like me, and my mum having to actively go out of her way to find Black dolls and find books with Black girls in them. And we've grown up in a society that tells us that we're not the standard of beauty. White women are. The least respected person in the world is the black woman. So we're still not getting the respect we deserve, I guess. Being in a group of people, going into a shop, going into McDonald's, and I'm the only one that's told to stop, take off my hood, can I check your pockets, things like that. Going to airports and my dad being the only person that's randomly stopped and checked. Going into Tesco's and being followed around by security guards, and being in cars, being in nice cars, being stopped and asked, how'd you get the car? How'd you afford the car? I even had that driving around. I was getting into my car and someone was like, how do you afford that? Like, I don't think you'd ask a white girl this. I think we're at a point where people have signed the petitions, they've made donations to whatever charities they can find, and they're asking what they can do next to help. And if you don't know what black people are going through, you don't know how to help. If you don't know what black people have been through, our history, how much we've struggled and are struggling, you'll find it really difficult to help. And you need to be educated on all these things and our experiences. And I think it's just time to start actually listening to us and not overstepping us, so that you can say, okay, I'm not a racist, so it's fine. You need to be listening to black people so that you can say, I'm not a racist, I'm an anti-racist, these things are happening and this is how I can help. And to do that, you need to know what's going on. So yeah, you need to be reading. But I think there's something about having a book, being able to make notes in it, being able to highlight things that really stuck with you, that can really help actually stick and you apply to your daily life. I think if you watch a film, you'll be like, oh, that's cool. And then you'll go back to your normal day the same way that you do when you watch any film. But with a book, it's sitting there, it's staring at you and it's telling you what you're doing wrong, what is wrong and how to change things. And I've had a lot of people send me pictures of their notes that they've made and they've highlighted and written and things like that. And I think to have something that's physically there helping you, guide you how to protect and value black people in a way that they never have been before is invaluable, which is why we're doing it for free. It should be at the forefront of everyone's mind that the UK isn't an innocent country in terms of racism, and we have so much work to do in terms of protecting black people. Black Lives Matter doesn't mean only Black Lives Matter. It means that black lives are in danger and therefore we matter and we need protection and we need help.